Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome, everybody. So happy to have you here with me today. And I'm super, super excited for my special guest today. Hey, Eileen, how are you?
Hey, Leslie, I'm great. Oh my God.
I'm so delighted to have Eileene Cohen with me today. Gosh, I've known Eileen for years and years.
I
We go
know.
way, way back now. And
Mm-hmm.
it's such a treat to be able to reconnect with you. And I'm so excited about just where you are in your life and your business. And most of all, I'm super excited to share on this incredible topic. This is a topic that I think our audience is going to absolutely devour. And that is how writing a book can help grow your business and be able to reach your niche. I think it's an awesome topic. It's really going to help everyone. All of you out there that have been kind of thinking about writing a book, right? And I know that's many. In fact, give me a yes in the comments if that is you. I'd love to know if you have pondered writing a book,
Yeah.
and if
I'd
so,
love to know too.
right? Like, where are you? Is it still a dream?
Yeah.
Or is it a little bit more concrete? Have you started? Yeah. All
I'd
right.
love to know as well, Leslie.
All
Oh,
right.
cool. It's nice when you have the people coming, right?
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. All right,
You feel
Laura,
like you're in good
we're gonna help
company.
you out today. We're
Hey,
gonna help you move
Lara.
forward.
Thanks. Yes.
All right, everybody. So welcome again. I'm really happy to have you here with us today. And my name is Lesli Bitel, and I'm a business coach and mentor for private practice health professionals. And you know what? In a nutshell, I help you to build multiple streams of revenue, and I help you to make money doing the work that you love, and I help you to scale your business as well. So that's a little bit about me. I want to turn it over to the wonderful Eileen. So Eileen, you've had such an incredible journey. So I'd love if we could kick our conversation off today with you sharing just a little bit about, give us an overview of your
Yeah.
business. I mean, you've got like so many plates in the air, right? And so we want to give everyone here kind of a little bit of context in terms of your business, and just an overview.
Great.
Turn it
Yeah,
on
because we have a lot to cover. So I'll kind of be short, concise, but yet engaging. So Eileens Cohen, I've been a registered dietitian already over 20 years, and not to age myself, hopefully I'm not looking my age, but the point is I actually own two businesses currently. I plan on sticking with two. One of them is Prana Spirit Nutrition and Wellness. It's a private nutrition practice with different niches. We focus on women's health, gut health, food sensitivities, and allergies. And I also have a tutoring business where we tutor students that are preparing for the board registration exams in dietetics. So that includes the RD exam. Now we have an arm with the Certified Nutrition Support Clinician exam, CNSC exam, and I couldn't be happier, right? And that's kind of what the topic is sort of about, moving into the tutoring realm of things. What else, Leslie? Kind of
yeah.
I hope that was.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about where you're located, and
yes,
right,
okay,
because I know that's another kind of mini story in of itself.
In and of itself. So I'm in Santa Monica, California. It is gorgeous here. I'm from New York originally. The story, very short story, is that I stayed out here when I was a little girl in Walnut Creek with my family, and I always said I always want to move to California. Never really had the opportunity when I was in New York, but then opportunity arose a few years ago, and I said, that's it, I'm doing it. And I just will tell you that I was on a plane, and I was next to a person from LA, and the woman says to me, like, if you want to move out, why don't you just do it? And I'm like, you know what? I'm on my way to a conference, but I'm going to mark this day as like, this is the day I'm going to say I'm planning on moving. And I did it, and I'm here. So I couldn't be happier. And it's great because I have the businesses, you can be anywhere in the world, right? You can, so that's, yeah. And I don't miss the New York weather. I prefer the California weather.
You're a California girl.
California girl at heart.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, what's really interesting about your history is that you have maintained part of your business in New York, right? So it is like
Yeah.
the prana nutrition component is really
Yeah.
like a bi-coastal type of business.
It's a bit
So
bi-coastal.
tell us
and
just a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a dietitian so this is great for those of you who have private practices in New York, and you know, she sees patients out there. Everything's virtual for now. We haven't really, but she has seen some in person. I'm starting to see some in person, but I'm mostly virtual. And then we market the business mostly though here in California because it is, you know, essentially we're a California business, but we have the New York arm.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Awesome.
and that's just the private practice realm. Then the tutoring business is completely virtual anyway, right? So that's where we can have people anywhere in the country.
That's incredible. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's start talking about what we're all here for, and that is, you know, about writing a book. So, so that all being said, well, I guess a little bit of a backstory. What got you into doing what you do in terms of helping the dietitians to be?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the backstory that I always love to tell. It happened almost by accident. I always like to say, I was looking. Speaking of Prana Spirit, my nutrition private practice, I was looking for a little side hustle. And honestly, guys, it's hard to start a business, as you know. At the time, I didn't have a business coach, wasn't making much money. I was accepting insurance, and I was like, well, what else can I do to bring in money? So I just said, I know I speak Spanish fluently, right? I'm going to tutor Spanish. I just got this idea, and I said, let me apply to some of those contractor positions, like to tutor Spanish. Lo and behold, they asked me, the tutoring company, if I could tutor anything else. And I'm like, well, nutrition, but who's going to call me for nutrition tutoring? It ended up that I ended up putting it kind of like on my website, and then the first people that contacted me were dietitians who were still in school, students, like undergraduate, but then dietitians, one it started with, who failed the RD exam, of course, no names mentioned, right? Contacted me, and Eileen, I see you do tutoring. Can you work with me? And I'm like, the RD exam, that was like 15 years ago, but I have a lot of good experience, so why not, right? I wanted to help her. And I said, well, I don't really know what to charge. And I kind of searched online, well, what do I charge? You know, I was charging like maybe, I don't know, like 4 times less the rates that I'm charging now. Point is, I started doing that, and then that student passed the exam. And then, okay, like kind of fast forwarding, just a short story. So I had a little health emergency arise. This is actually in my book. Fortunately, I am good. I'm not going to go into it, but I'm good. I'm cancer free right now. Thank God, but it's a good story. So I had to close my private practice at the time for 4 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I had to have major surgery. I had to have part of my kidney removed. I'm fine now. I couldn't climb the stairs in my 5th floor walk up in Manhattan. So what did I do? I stayed with my brother and sister-in-law in their apartment in Queens, New York. And what did I do? I was tutoring online because students were still contacting me. Interesting, right? So while I couldn't work, I was sitting here healing from surgery. And what was cool is that after I got back out after surgery, I was able to finish the tutoring in person because I was doing some of that. That student passed their exam. So fast forwarding, I said, you know, I need to do this on a bigger scale because there seems to be a need. But it's interesting because you know how like you could sit down and think of what a good business idea is? In my case, it just happened that these people were coming to me, like the universe was delivering them to me. So I said, but it was a beautiful thing. And then I got so much out of them passing. I was like, oh my God, this is a great feeling. Like I'm helping another person enter the field. And I've always been a natural mentor. So I said, I'm going to put together like these 10-hour packages because I think that I noticed that the student that I was tutoring needed 10 sessions.
Okay.
I said, okay, I guess I'm going to do 10 hours and I'll charge X, right?
Yeah.
Well, that student passed. That student referred me to her friend out in Connecticut. So I was starting to kind of get referrals.
Yeah.
I said, okay, this is amazing. She passed. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And what's interesting is all the while I didn't even realize that there was this need, like there was this underground society, as they say, of students who don't pass the exam. But I haven't even looked at statistics. You know, when you do a business plan, right?
Yeah.
You look at statistics, you look at the background, and do any of that. I was just like, well, these people are calling me.
Yeah, it must. I mean, it means something, right? Like there's a need.
It was like a calling. And
Yeah.
then kind of fast forwarding to that, so everybody was passing. I mean, it was not, everyone's passing for that time. I said, I need to do this on a bigger scale. And I started creating courses. The quick backstory on that is that I was one of my yoga teachers, actually, this is back in 2018, okay? Do you remember we didn't even really use Zoom that much, or Zoom was almost starting out to be
a new thing.
It was just starting to be a thing, but it wasn't really. Oh, and by the way, just to go back, when I was tutoring online, I was using FaceTime because we didn't really have Zoom.
Yeah.
I saw that she was doing a series for yoga teachers to teach them about their business. She was charging $349 for a 5-week series. I said, that's brilliant. I'm going to make an RD exam course, and I'm going to charge $349 for a 5-week series.
Yeah.
I just put together, and I did it on the fly. All right. None of my students knew. I was just like, next week is this topic.
Yeah.
And they passed, as far as I know. And the rest is kind of history, right? We just kept on growing, and I started hiring tutors. I hired some of my students even, who were fantastic. And here we are today, right? There's more to tell.
So
thank you.
What led you
journey.
to let's dig into the book, right?
Yeah.
So what led you down that path? When did that idea first occur to you?
Okay,
you need to write a book.
Question. Yeah. I think, internally you always want to write a book. I think it was during the pandemic, though, because I think that my strategy, which is I have a signature strategy that I really talk about in the book. I mean, that's the essence of what my business is about and how I help people. I think it was that I started solidifying my strategy over the years of working with students. And I feel like at that point, this strategy, right? I kept on hearing from my students, your strategy is what helped me pass. Your key strategy is save my life.
Wow.
I'm like, well, then I need to write a book about the key strategy.
Yeah.
I need to do something, because I realized that I could only reach so many people, and I wanted to reach people on a bigger scale. And I wanted to communicate my message to as many people as I could. And I didn't even know it at the time that it could help my business, which it was interesting. I literally I was like, okay, I guess I'll get some royalties from the book, but I can reach people.
Right. So that was your intent, to help more people.
Yeah, help more people, reach more people, but really to communicate my method, because it was so unique. And I just felt like when students were saying to me, oh, this is what saved my life, I was like, well, then I need to get this out there.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the trigger. And it was also the pandemic, and I was kind of sad and just like, there's got to be something else I can do here, right? And I had a little more time perhaps to kind of sit down. Right? We weren't going out.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us did some pretty cool things during that time.
Yeah.
It kind of forced us to, think of ways to be more creative.
Yeah, I've attended some webinars, and they say that a lot of businesses started during the pandemic. A lot of things that pushed people out of their comfort zones.
Yeah. Right? So let's talk about how do you feel like writing a book can help other practitioners, right? Dietitians, functional medicine docs, naturopaths, right? Chiropractors, how does it help practitioners to reach their target audience?
Yeah, well, I can tell you from my experience, and in the sense that I really was able to reach my target audience. But here's my thing. Here's my advice, right? Because I did say I was going to give advice, and this is just, again, I'm not a business coach. This is literally from my own experience. That if you have, my advice to everybody is, if you have wanted to write a book, it's been like a mission. Think of your niche, right? Or your niche. Think of your specialty area. Think of something that you offer that no one else does. Mm-hmm. Because the truth, guys, if I did not have my strategy, I don't know if I would be as inspired, because what am I going to talk about in the book? Right. Why should I spend, hours and hours writing a book, finding a writing coach, which we'll talk about? Why should I invest in it? It costs me some money to do. Find what makes you unique, and certainly there are great business coaches like Lesli that can help you with that. But most importantly, what is your unique message, and how does it tie into your message? Did you have a struggle? Did your clients have a struggle that's unique that got solved, right? And then just go ahead and well, I don't want to say go ahead and write, because then you have to, talk to some writing coaches. But the point is, get the idea, right? And then just move forward with it. So I hope that's.
So what would you say a first step is?
Yeah, because there's just so many, and that's what I was kind of getting at.
You get the idea, and then what would you recommend?
The first thing is you get the idea and the motivation. If you're motivated, just move forward. But the first thing you should do, well, they should. No, don't should on anybody. The first thing you want to do is find a writing coach or a publisher. So the first thing you could do, right, which I did, is decide, do you want to self-publish or do you want to go the commercial route, which through a publisher. I didn't do that, so I don't even know what it's called, but I guess you would go through a publishing company now.
Okay.
I
actually
applied. I self-publish. I'm self-publishing. So as you know, part of the title of this is like, even if you haven't published yet. So I'm almost published. The book is almost done. The point is that you're going to decide now. I mean, I guess I'm biased, but I think self-publishing is amazing because you have full control. Yeah. You get your all your royalties are yours. You can control how you want to sell it. You can market it the way you want to market it. I heard that if you go through a publisher, I don't know that much about this, but I've heard through my self-publisher, that if you go through a publisher, you're kind of at their beck and call for the way they want you to do things. Okay.
Absolutely.
So the point is, and it's also very competitive. I got rejected because for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. And
I think you have to have like a huge following before they'll
even look at you. Do.
It's not even so much the idea. It's more.
It's more
do they
who
want to put their money behind you?
It's
right?
very true. I mean, it's the reality. And if you do have a big following, maybe consider that. Go for it, right? I didn't have as big a following, which is where, we're growing. But the point is and so for me, I would say find a writing coach. Find someone who can help you self-publish because we're going to get there, but there's no way you can do it on your own because you need someone to guide you through. And I, coincidentally, how it happened for me that I met my writing coach is that I was kind of like in this, like, this is really fun. I was in this Airbnb because I had just moved to LA and I'm sitting there typing out. I'm like, I've got 12 pages of this book. And I was really proud of myself. Well, I guess it's just from the universe because my writing coach, Steph Ritz from Ritz Books, she's amazing. We could pop her information in the chat later. I had met her at a conference a few years back, like at a yoga therapy conference, and we kept in touch. I was on her email list. She emailed her email list that she was having one of those Saturday free events, because she was having a writing course. So I said, I'm just going to come. And I did, and I enrolled in her writing course because I said, this is crazy. Like, I'm writing a book. I'm stuck on page 12. I forgot to mention, I was stuck on page 12 for months. Okay. So lo and behold, you just can't do it by yourself because there's no accountability. The same thing is, can you run a business by yourself? Can you grow a business by yourself?
It's really hard.
It's really hard. So I enrolled in her course, and so you need a coach, right? If you need any recommendations, I can provide. Down the road, you're going to need a proofreader too. But just to get started, get a writing coach. I would say a business coach can help you too. And we'll talk a little more about that too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's a great piece of advice. So it's the accountability and are there any other important components to consider when looking for someone,
a writing coach?
Yeah. Like what are, obviously accountability is huge.
It's huge.
Is that what you needed mostly? Is
it honestly was,
or was it strategy?
It was both.
Okay.
So I'll tell you. Okay. So the accountability piece, there was no way, like I said, I was stuck on page 12. And then let's see, when you're in this course, you're in a mastermind. So like every week, then she has a certain timeline. And then she gives you individual attention, at least my coach did. So you get a certain amount of one-on-one sessions with her where you do a little ghostwriting. What that means, you hear the term ghostwriting, it has different levels of ghostwriting. Ghostwriting could be where somebody actually writes for you. That's not what we did. She just sort of prompts you, like to get you to think about stories and brings things out, and she does it in unique ways.
Yeah.
She has writing story prompts, these cool things called story prompts. She has a book that she guides you. The point is that I had to report to her. So so often, every 2 weeks, I had to send my manuscript. Ding, ding, ding. of course I'm going to get it done, right?
Yeah.
Even if I'm up to like, but if I did not have those deadlines, there's no way. I really don't want to sound like a lazy person.
Better to do.
No, you need accountability, right?
Yeah.
So then I think it's the accountability is just huge, that everybody needs it. But then it's the skills, right? Like she taught me, and she would always tell me, Eileen, you're a great writer. And I'm like, I didn't even know I was a good writer. Like I said, I had no idea that you just don't know because I haven't published yet. The point is that, and I don't love to write. That's another really funny thing. Oh, I should add that. If you don't love to write, don't let it stop you from writing a book. Because I don't like to write. I really hate sitting down and writing. What I find though is that if you have a message to communicate, you're going to be so passionate that you're going to want to write. Like, and there's ways, guys, that you can do it. Like for me, in the beginning, when it was hard to get started, I recorded myself on audio. Like I just took the voice memos from my phone and I wrote a couple chapters that way. And then just to get my feet wet. Do you know what I mean? In the beginning. She also taught me a really cool trick too, that there is a setting, and I can't even do it now because I'm not a tech guru, in your computer, at least I have a MacBook, that enables your computer to talk to you. So you can like essentially write and then have your computer talk it back to you. So you can hear it. Yeah. It's really good for editing. Like when it's time to, like before you want to submit your manuscript to your coach, let's say. You're like, let me just go through, and you'd be surprised how much you pick up, right? So the point is,
when you hear it back, you're when you hear it back.
I mean, there's different ways of doing it. The other tip I have is to not get held up. Like sometimes you can get writer's block, that writer's block, and you're like, well, what do I write? Make a time schedule when it works for you. Okay. Don't sit there and like be like, well, I have to take this. Like if the weekends work for you, write on the weekends. If it works for you, a half an hour here and there, just put it in your schedule somehow. You can bullet things, like, so in other words, you can like, think of it like you're typing in your phone or you're making notes in your phone. You can write a chapter that way. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? You know what I mean? Like you don't have to sit there and have a literary work of art because it's going to get edited. You're going to go through it. Just get some ideas and bullets and then expand on them. The other tip, which I think is really, really important, is find stories, right? Because it's the stories. Well, first of all, my writing coach wrote a book. I have it here actually, and I do have a little prop since I don't have my book yet, but Steph is going to love me. Can you see this? It's Stories That Change the World. Okay. How to Write Your Heart Message by Steph Ritz. Okay, so I told her already, I'm like, I'm going to be promoting it tomorrow. The point is that she is all about, because the truth is people connect with stories.
They do.
They connect with stories. It helps them to feel like they're not alone. I mean, and the truth is, if you're writing a book, you want to have stories in every chapter, because what's the point? It's your why, but what is the message and why should they care, right? Why should they do it? So that's what I would say is sit down and kind of like map out, well, you'll have help to map out your book, but think of the stories that connect with each chapter, right? If you're writing a chapter on gut health, I mean, just because I specialize in that in my private practice, do you have client success stories that you could share before you get into the nitty gritty of what to do? Does that make sense? I
love that. Yeah, I really think the storytelling is really, really important. And
it's everything.
I think a lot of people might kind of struggle with like, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying?
I think so too. I think where a lot of people struggle, because I was kind of thinking about this last night as I was kind of thinking that I'm going to do this today, is being, it might sound really cliche, but like kind of being vulnerable, or kind of, because the truth is the best stories come from struggles. I mean, I really hate to say it, but it's true. The best stories come from pain. And so how can your audience connect with you? How are they going to know you care, right? It's either did you have a struggle like that? Can you share it, right? Did your clients have a struggle? But how did that get resolved to give them hope? But because that's what they want to connect. The first step is that they should connect with you. And I'm not preaching to the choir, Leslie. I know you know this. And then after that, you can teach them. But you need to connect with them on an emotional level. And stories help you connect on an emotional level. That's it. So like an example is in my book, kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of giving sneak peeks here, but I tell my story of how I failed an exam because, you know, a lot of my students, the majority of them have failed. I'm saying, like, this is for first-time test takers, that we're trying to change the trajectory so there's less people failing this exam. But many of my target market who come to me for tutoring have failed, so they're not alone. Now, I didn't fail my RD exam. I passed. I did very well. I didn't even remember, to be honest, because I didn't even know I was going to be tutoring until later.
Same.
And then
I don't remember what I got.
I know, right?
I passed.
Yeah. I mean, back then I didn't care. I remember I called my mom and I was like, oh my God, I passed. And that was it. And I signed my notes. But then as I started my tutoring business, I'm like, well, I should know what my score was. That'd be kind of interesting. So I sent away for it, right? So I passed my exam. But I failed a major exam that was really important to me, and that was my yoga teacher training exam.
Wow. So you know what it felt like.
Oh my God. I was so nervous. It's like, listen, this wasn't a master's degree, but it was huge. I wanted to teach yoga. It was in Manhattan. Hopefully, like, any of my yoga teachers watching this, I will definitely share, because I did. And you know what? At the time, it was all because of the things I was telling myself and the negativity. And I just got up in front of the room and I blanked out in the middle of my practical exam. I couldn't finish. My teachers are like, anyway, I tell the story in the book. My point is,
that's hard.
It's so hard, but it's huge, because I give my audience, like, look, whether it's the RD exam or any other exam, like, hey, I know the feeling here. But what did I do? Well, first of all, what did I do? Did I wallow in my misery? And I'm not going to say that part, because you got to get the book. But no, I didn't wallow in my misery. I picked up and I moved on and I found solutions.
Right.
That's the key. And then it also is like, well, what could I have done differently to prevent it? Right. And the truth is, there are things, right? There's prep. And so by giving that type of inspiration to my audience, I'm helping them see that there are things that they can do so maybe they won't get to that point, or maybe if they did fail already, you know, they don't have to fail next time, right? So it is these stories.
Well, you're giving them hope. Yeah, you're giving them hope, and your audience they see their own story in yours. It's
they really do.
The story you chose to tell really kind of mirrors the experience of your target audience.
It's
and
true.
Then you got the result that they want. So that's a really inspirational, and it gives people hope.
It really does. Yeah.
And it does. So I think it's really important to flesh this out a little bit. My guess, and I would love to know from our audience here, how do you feel about being vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about sharing your own personal story? Because I hear it a lot where it's like, oh, and you know, we're in terms of our training, like we're trained to now, you know, never go there, right?
Leslie, I was just gonna say, well, I was thinking that as I was speaking.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking that in our training, we like talk about like nutrition for patients and clients.
Right.
We're taught to not share our story. We're taught to, like, don't be personal with the patients.
Exactly.
God. Like, do you know that that's what gets you business? That's what, when they come to you. If you're
exactly.
Not revealing, what's wrong with telling them that? What's wrong with saying that I suffered with IBS and all sorts of GI issues?
Right.
It's amazing. I remember telling a patient that, and she's like, "Oh my God, I feel so connected to you now.
Exactly.
Now I want to hire you."
Yeah. Well, I think because we're all trained to be good, like, hospital workers, right? Right.
I know, that's another issue.
That's a whole other topic. We're not trained to, but especially if you work for yourself, or if you want to grow your own audience, that sense of vulnerability is really, really super important.
It's so important. I think a lot of people, Leslie, and everyone here, are also afraid. Like, and that's kind of why when I was asked what I want to talk about, I'm like, I want to talk about my mistakes, which we're going to get to in a minute.
Let's do it.
Well, we're going to get there in a second, but I wanted to say something important too. Like, I'm going to talk about my mistakes. I'm going to talk about my failure, well, whatever, because if you look at me, I'm successful. I have nothing to be ashamed of, but the truth is, it was those failures. It was those struggles that made me successful, quite frankly. Like, that's it. So you have to look at it that way, right? I mean, you don't want to, you know, probably not going to publish a book in the middle of my surgery time. Like, you know, oh my God, like, am I going to live or die? But, you know,
Right.
after I'm through it, let's celebrate. But I think people are afraid
Yeah.
to reveal that they failed in certain ways or that they
Yeah.
struggle because they're afraid people will judge them. I do believe that.
Yeah.
I think so. And if you can get over that and know that it actually is the actual opposite,
Right.
it actually draws people to you.
It does.
It really
in a
does.
big way.
Mhm.
It's so
Mhm.
important.
It's so
So, do
important.
you have some mistakes that you want to share?
Yes. Okay. So, well, my first mistake is it kind of goes along the global mistake of
Yeah.
not hiring coaches from the get-go, right? So look, starts with my writing coach. I was sitting there and I was on page 12 for like a while. Now, it's not that it was a mistake as much as like I just didn't know, but it kind of
Mhm.
categorizes it as a mistake. Like I didn't know
Okay.
I needed a writing coach. I actually thought I could write a book on my own. Well, now I know I can.
Well, guess
Um,
what? Newsflash, we think we can do a lot of things on our own,
I know.
right?
I think
And
so.
it's kind of interesting. I mean,
It is.
maybe you can, but it will probably
Mhm.
take you a very long time.
I always say that there's a way to do it on your own, but it
Yeah.
will take you forever. I mean, you know, as
Yeah.
a business coach, your
Yeah.
clients can do it on their own, but then think of all the money they're going to lose in
But
opportunity
should
by
you?
waiting all
Yeah,
those years.
I mean, yeah, like
N-
especially
It's a
in business, time is
yeah,
money.
no,
Like you
time
could
is
be helping
money.
tons and
That's
tons of
it.
people. Yeah.
No. So my first, I guess the mistake is with the coaches, but here's the thing, and this is a good glimpse into, so when I started my private practice, I was making $30 an hour tutoring Spanish while I was trying to build.
Yeah.
I didn't have a business coach. Had I had a business
Right.
coach back then, I know I would not have made, I know I wouldn't have had to do the Spanish tutoring. Now, fast forwarding, the Spanish tutoring is what led me to create RefreshExams. So,
Right.
you know, it's interesting, isn't it?
It
That
is.
that's another example of how, like, I could sit here and say, oh, I should have done it differently. But you know what? Had I done it differently, I might not be here doing
Right.
what I'm doing. So you
Right.
have to like kind of like just say whatever happened happened and just let it be as part of your journey. But then moving forward, don't make the mistakes. You see what I mean? Because then that's part of your journey as well. Right. But so
Yeah.
essentially my biggest mistake is not hiring coaches from the
Right.
beginning, because I was scrounging around and I was, oh my God, up till 4 in the
Trying to
morning trying to figure out how to
piecemeal, like trying to do
do
all the
things.
free stuff
Yeah, I
and
mean, it was stressful. Do you know what I mean? Like trying to teach yoga for a company, and then I was also trying to take insurances and right. But the point is
yeah.
that when I finally hired my first coach, it was someone before you, and then it was you.
Okay.
The point, because I've had different coaches,
Yeah.
that was when things started turning around, and then I can tell you this very quick. It was on, and I'm not just saying this to butter you up, but like when I started working with you,
Yeah.
things did change because
Yeah.
you have to kind of be in a program. You have to have, you know, it's like it can't just be piecemeal, like you said.
Yeah.
So that's when things started changing, and I was able to develop my business model. And anyway, that's where then the book comes in. Now the book is different because I didn't know I needed a writing coach. So that's the secret that you need. But once I got that, I'm now almost done. I'm on like the last
Amazing.
chapter. I know.
So we have a comment here about
Yeah.
and I can't see who this is from because
Yeah, Facebook user.
Facebook. Yeah. So sharing my story is intimidating, but I've been more motivated since working in private practice. It's a good way to connect with. Absolutely. Yeah.
It really is. It is. And, you know, I think like maybe just some advice that I can give just from, I think that awareness is the first part. Like if you want to share your story, but you're just a little intimidated, practice on family and friends, right? I mean, I'm sure Leslie can give you even more advice on that, but I just think like intuitively, just practice. Well, you know what? It's not intuitive because I've done that with business coaches. Practice on them. Share your story. Share it in a message. And then ask them for feedback. If you were my target audience, what would you say?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And, you know, one of the things that I teach in the work that I do with clients is crafting your brand story. Right.
Yes.
And, it really, it is your story, right? It might be maybe more of a condensed version. But guys, that's how important telling your story is. I mean,
so important.
I teach my clients to share their brand story in every single talk, every single webinar. Now, it's not a 20-minute, thing. No, it's got to be pretty quick and concise, but it is a way for you to really connect with your audience. So regardless of whether it's a book, whether it's a speaking event, I mean, really, I can't really even think of a situation where it would not be helpful. Right?
You have to. Otherwise, why should people listen to you? Or why should they? How are they going to connect with you? But I do think that, like, also, I think getting started, like, just do it. One day, pick a day, work with a coach, and say, this is a day. Or maybe do something, Leslie, you could do something small, like a Facebook Live, or do something small where you share your story to a smaller audience. Yeah. Leslie, good idea, right? Like, I love it. Don't do it in front of like a million people.
But I love the idea of, I think it's great to share your story on like an Instagram Live or a live stream.
I think that's great. A good idea.
It's a really good first topic.
I also think, just one more, like with Instagram Live or even like an Instagram Reel, something short, so that you can just get in and get out, and you don't have to feel like, oh my God, I have to be on here for 45 minutes telling my story.
That's true. That's a good idea too.
I think it's a great idea, and I think you'll get feedback from your audience. You know what I mean? And then I think with the feedback is where the confidence comes in for all of us, right?
I would agree with that. So what would you say, do you have any advice? I know we've given a lot of tips and strategies. Do you have anything else that you want to share in terms of advice to help other practitioners get started? Any other golden nuggets?
I do. My advice is this: your book could be your business and your brand. So you almost think of your book as this big, I had this one coach once who's like, this big expensive business card, because the reality is it's not like just like you're writing a book and you're going to get royalties. You're writing a book to communicate your message, but you can grow your business from that. So my advice is, which I didn't realize until I met my writing coach, who helped me to learn how to kind of, I mean, it sounds funny, but like there are, upsells, right? Or ways that you're encouraging your audience in the book. I remember I said to her, like, Steph, I didn't even know that I could like talk about my business and my programs in the book. She's like, of course you should. So she would like put in the edits, like when she would make edits, she'd say upsell, like promotion here, tie this in here. And then you do that. Well, it's so good to have a coach, because they help you insert that in the book. So the point is, think of it as part of your business plan, your book. And how can you then leverage your books, just a little good inside tip, to the next level in your business? For example, can you communicate that you want to grow your one-on-one practice, or maybe you want to do a group course? So as you know, we have group courses. I have a big group course launch coming up. Actually, we're in beta right now. And then, so of course, now what I learned is that course is my companion course to my book.
That's brilliant.
And it is amazing. But thank you. But what's even more interesting, because again, I did this on the fly, is that I wasn't even making the connection between the course being the book until my writing coach. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, right? I need to somehow tie this in, but wait a minute. And then I think, here's my advice too. Don't put pressure on yourselves if you don't exactly know how to make the course, because you have to kind of write enough of your book first to get it out. It can happen in different ways. Like here's my spiel. Here's my take on it. In my case, I wrote the book first. I knew my strategy. I knew I wanted to communicate that to future dietitians. And then I think if I remember right, I was evolving not just my strategy, because that was already pretty evolved, but I have a pillar method in my tutoring business, a 3-ingredient method. It's actually, strength, stability, stress reduction, right? Where I incorporate different elements. It's awesome. But the interesting piece is when I started writing my book, this is just where I was in the timeline. I didn't have that cohesiveness to the pillar method. I didn't have it. So as I developed that, I then inserted it in the book, right? And then I'm like, well, wait a minute, this needs to now go in my course. And then the course got grown through the book. Okay. Right? Now, for some of you who might be in a different position where you have your pillars, because everyone's in a different position, a different timeline in the business. If you already have your pillars, you know what your pillars are, then maybe you start the course and maybe you do it in the book at the same time. But whatever it is, link your other offerings in your business to your book, because you might have your audience come through the book once it's published, and then they could come into your business. That's the point. Do the social media. You use your book as a promotional tool, essentially, in addition to a communication tool.
Right. I love that. And the thing I love about the idea of having a book is I think it really opens doors for all of you, every single person listening today. It will open so many doors terms of speaking opportunities, like right? And
it will.
I'm a huge fan of growing your business through speaking. So it just kind of like just makes it easier. It kind of paves the way.
I so agree. I mean, this is not like the world's greatest, like, but this is amazing. This is a Facebook Live. And if I didn't, maybe because I knew I wanted to talk about my book, I got on a Facebook Live. I did a podcast. So now I'm starting to get speaking gigs, right? Speaking opportunities and getting experience. But it just, writing a book makes you more credible. At the end of the day, look, we all know we're credible. We all know we're great dietitians. We have the credentials. But who cares? At the end of the day, it's your message. It's what you do with it, right? So you getting out there, and people, let's face it, when they see, oh my God, an author, right? Oh, and I forgot to add something important, because I know we're almost at 45 minutes here, but I wanted to say something. Part of it is that you don't have to have published yet. Now, I'm not in no way saying go write one page and then go promote it to the world. No, because you want it to be authentic, but you don't have to finish the book. Once you have the main backbone of the book, you have the skeleton, you have the message, you've written a few chapters, right? As much as, and you know that what it's communicating, you have stories in there. Go and put together a sales page, go and put together your website page. That's what I did. I'll admit I waited a little bit because I just didn't want to do it too early. But then I did it, and we were able to take from the book and put the sales page together so it communicated properly. And then I think, like, honestly, people see it and they're like, oh my God, you're writing a book. That's amazing. Like, all of a sudden, people like my target audience is reaching out to me and they're interested, right? And I think, we do other work with dietetic internship programs, right? And preceptors and, who have access to students. When they see that, wow, she wrote a book, that takes it to a next level. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I think that's
in terms of their trust in you.
Yeah, I agree. And I see a lot of people who are heavily promoting their book before it's available. So I think that's really super smart.
I love it. It's kind of like promoting your course. Like, you teach this, promoting your course. You don't have to have it done. In fact, that's the point.
It is kind of my favorite thing to let people know.
It's kind of your favorite thing. It is.
Like, isn't that an awesome thing, guys? Like, you can sell your course, you can sell your book before it's done. Like, amazing. You can start making money.
You actually can. That's another topic, but that goes with it. That's another little tip I've learned, that there's a way to pre-sell your book. I'm still working on that aspect. I actually have another, another marketing book. She's actually a best-selling author. I don't want to say her name yet because I'm just starting to work with her. And Steph is great, but then, you need someone to help you kind of with that whole book marketing piece, right? And so she definitely recommends like pre-selling. There might be some implications maybe about getting, I know that Steph mentioned this, getting bestseller status. Pre-selling, but I'm learning that there are ways, right? And frankly, I'm not going to worry about it because getting bestseller status is possible from what I'm learning. I'm just at the tail tip of this right now, tip of the iceberg. Because if you're doing it in a certain category you're publishing, for example, I'm publishing in test preparation for medical test preparation. There's not a million people publishing books on that category. Does
that's
that make
really
sense?
true.
So you can there's ways of still becoming a bestseller, but at the same time, you want to promote your book, right? Like, pre-sell it, because by pre-selling it, you can give away things. You can get people into your world.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, man, time flies, right?
Time does fly. We did
I could
45
talk to
minutes,
you
but
all day about this, Eileen, right?
I hope this was helpful. I
It
hope
was
this was
so helpful.
helpful.
Any
Oh, okay,
parting
great.
words of wisdom? Oh, and I do want to share, we have a link to share, right? So I'm going
Yeah,
to
we do.
share
Any
that.
other questions from the audience? I love questions, but I don't know how many. I can't see because I'm on StreamYard here.
Okay, let's see here. All right, so
I think
I'm
some
going
of my people are attending.
okay, let's see. All right, so guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and
Yeah.
paste this comment.
Oh, we have a comment. Okay, great. I
Or
love.
no, actually, your link
Oh, yes.
for the key strategies.
Yeah, so I'm sharing my book because the truth is, like, my goal today was to share with all of you like how writing a book can help you, right?
Yeah.
So I guess like I'm not asking, but I'm just kind of requesting in return. I would love for you to share to anybody who really needs our services and anybody
Yeah.
who needs a book like this, right? Who's a dietitian, a future dietitian who's struggling with the exam. It could be someone you work with if you're a preceptor, right? If you're a dietetic internship director, and if you are taking the exam, definitely get on my wait list.
Yeah,
because that is my book page, right? And it's about my book. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, and I should say something. By getting on the wait list, you're going to get surprises. We're going to be sending. We're working on the launch, so you're going to get invitations and freebies and lots of things that we are planning. Because again, we haven't published yet, but we are going to reserve things for our audience. So please do sign up, and a pop-up will pop up that allows you to get on the wait list for when the book comes out. And yeah, just get on the wait list.
So guys, I shared this link. I think it's a clickable link in the comments. And and I'm also putting it on the screen.
Yes. And I just want to say one more thing, but it's easy.
Yeah.
If you get stuck, go to RefreshExams.com, and on the right upper corner, it says buy the book, and click on buy the book, and it'll bring you to that page.
Oh, perfect. That's easy too. So RefreshExams.com. And then / the-key-strategy-book.
All right.
Awesome. That's great.
Change the dashes. But you can always find it on the general website. Right?
Guys, I hope this inspired you. I really do. Got it. Here's complete, utter transparency. I've never really thought about writing a book, but you kind of got me thinking.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Lesli, you should. You actually should. I mean, I'm so glad
I have a lot to
share.
You.
You should, because the truth is it's doable. You just need the right message. You need your heart and soul, and you need the right people to guide you.
Yeah.
I mean, please, you just need the right coaches.
Yeah, I need
and then they help you. The accountability. That's it. But you can do it, and it's pretty awesome, because like there's a difference between an ebook. I'm not bashing ebooks. We all need ebooks in our business. But like, come on, when you write an actual book and then you get on Amazon,
it's totally different. Yeah,
it's totally different. Yeah, I'm so glad I inspired you, and I hope I inspired a lot of others of you too.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, so guys, give me a comment. I'll go. Eileen and I can go back and look at the comments and answer any questions that we didn't get to. But let us know what's your big takeaway from today, right? It could be the first step to your new book. Like, let us know, announce it. I almost feel like that is a really important first step, is just saying, okay, I'm doing it. Let us know if that's you.
It's true. Yeah.
Right? Kind of like that day you were, Eileen decided, I'm moving to California.
Exactly.
I'm putting it out there.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it, and you'll find your way, but you don't have to find it alone. That's the key. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out, right?
Yeah, reach out to Eileen. She would, she's such a gem. All right, guys. So time flies. This was great, Eileen. It's so helpful, inspirational. And I know that lots and lots of people benefited from our conversation today. So really appreciate you sharing your wisdom and spending time with us today, Eileen. Thank you so much. And
thanks so much, Lesli.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks to all of you for joining us, whether you're watching the live stream or catching us on the replay. Regardless, give me a comment. Let me know what your takeaway is. Let me know if this inspired you to take a step forward in getting that book out into the world. All right. I'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of the day, an awesome weekend. And I'll look forward to seeing you same place, same time next week. All right. Take good care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.